Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this session where we're going to be talking about how to unlock financing for green hydrogen projects. And with me today, actually, my distinguished guests, Miss Anne-Sophie Racoud, so Energy Manager at Agence Française de Développement, AFD, Mr. Nordine Citroën, Senior Energy Specialist at the World Bank, Mr. Florian Ziegler, Principal Portfolio Energy Manager at the KfW, and last but not least, Mr. Adrien de Bassompierre, Head of EIB Representation at Morocco. Without further ado, we were going to talk directly dive in our topic, and my first question will be to you, Adrien. So there has been a lot of international focus on the green hydrogen market during the past years, although the technology is maturing, but this is still a nascent market. So how do you see potential opportunities and challenges in this new value chain?
Thank you very much, Younes. But maybe before I get into the heart of the matter, I'd just like to thank the organizers. This is my first event in Morocco. I'm the new representative for EIB, and it's my baptême du feu. I'm very pleased to be here. Also very mixed feelings about our presence here. Of course, very happy to see the economy continuing to work and the event going on, but also very saddened by the events. So without extending too much, again, on behalf of EIB, and I think I speak on behalf of many here, all our condolences to Morocco and its population. So, Younes, I mean, first of all, EIB already supported more than 2 billion of projects with a link to hydrogen in the last 8 years. So this is not new, including integrated projects for the production and consumption of hydrogen, principally in the European Union. But we've financed the development and demonstration of hydrogen-related technologies, also the scale-up and the deployment in the transport sector. Quite a bit of experience that we hope to be able to build upon as we embark all together, again, I'd like to say, on supporting Morocco in the development of a technology. We saw previously images of CSP technology. For me, it feels a bit like déjà vu. We're, again, maybe some 10 years later, here as a family to support Morocco in the development of a new technology. So this morning, the president of the University Polytechnique mentioned a study that we had the pleasure of supporting with the African Union and the International Solar Alliance, and it had a few conclusions, and I'm getting to the point. Of course, it highlighted Morocco's peculiar, very advantageous situation. I won't come back on all the elements that were mentioned, maybe to highlight two. One, Morocco has very developed port infrastructure with international standards. That's important when it comes to the transportation of hydrogen. And also there is the existence and opportunities of an interesting local market to be able to support. So we're not only in the business of, importing or facilitating the exportation of hydrogen, but also the consumption and the use here in the market. And actually it's quite important. This is how we functioned inside the European Union, is by building upon small industrial clusters, something that we may be able to repeat here. According to this study, 3 factors need to be in place. And so 3 elements. First, national planning, regulation, and incentive programs. So that's really a must if we want to attract also private sector finance. Secondly, and I've mentioned it already, pilot projects. We need to be able to demonstrate that all steps of the value chain work. So production, storage, distribution, and the use of hydrogen, both at demonstration stage and later on at commercial stage. And then thirdly, partnerships, market-based partnerships, to drive large-scale demand and consumption. And as I mentioned it, at both national and international level. So I'm just going to jump to the conclusion, because that's what your question is. I think key issues for us is looking at the entire value chain. We can come back to that, all steps of the way. We also, when we assess and look at hydrogen opportunities and projects, look at sustainability. That's quite important, but we look at what are the impacts, for example, on the availability, well, the impact on water resources, simply put, and in Morocco, it's a key question, but we have solutions to support that. And also the impact on electricity prices. We want to make sure that we don't, there's no diversion of renewable energy capacity that would be inefficient or ineffective to support hydrogen, right? Because it's still more interesting to finance directly green electricity, if I could put it this way. So I'll keep it at that for the moment. I want to keep it short, but I hope it was une entrée en matière. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adrien. No, that was to the point, actually. You talked about regulation, you talked about pilot projects. We have saw other countries in the region that tried to develop, actually kickstart the first project. Namely, I'm thinking about Egypt, whereby they signed a lot of MOUs with private developers. We have financed, EBRD has financed the first project in Egypt there. So our region in particular was under the radar. So my question to you, Anne-Marie, how Morocco can play a key role in attracting, in developing this green value chain, and what will be the role of the public sector to attract financing investment to those projects?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks very much for the invitation. As you said, yeah, Egypt had a good momentum with COP27, but at AFD we also consider that Morocco has strong advantages and for the deployment of green hydrogen. Maybe to step back a little bit, we are fully convinced at AFD that green hydrogen is part of the solution to reach the objective of the Paris Agreement and to decarbonize some sector which are called hard to abate sector. It has been said this morning. So coming back to your question, for us, and I think this is quite shared by all the partners, we feel that first Morocco has a strong potential of renewable energy. And this is a strong competitive advantage considering the portion of the electricity cost in the cost of green hydrogen. Second thing, we think that Morocco has a strong domestic market with fertilizer, for example, but probably not only. And it has been discussed this morning also. And last, North Africa is close to EU, and in particular with the next EU regulation, we feel that there is a premium which can be accepted by the off-taker for this green hydrogen. Having said that, and there are some challenges, and mainly the development of further renewable energy. We'll come back, I think, to that later, but this is a strong challenge considering the need for green hydrogen. There is also probably a need for development of water infrastructure and, more generally speaking, infrastructure. And we feel that the public sector could support the infrastructure around the green hydrogen project, but can also participate in the production of green hydrogen. We will maybe explain a little bit more what we can offer at AFD, but we are committed through Proparco and through AFD to this sector.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. You mentioned quite important things. So off-takers, infrastructure that is necessary to develop green hydrogen projects, private and public stakeholders, which like the natural question to Florian. So there is little or much not yet developed renewable hydrogen trade between the countries. Morocco is well positioned, as they were mentioned by Adrien and Anne-Marie, to export the hydrogen to Europe. We know that hydrogen is the pillar of EU energy transition. How can Morocco profit from this bilateral cooperation between European Union and also between all the stakeholders that are present here in Morocco in order to develop the green value chain for hydrogen projects?
Yeah, thank you, Younes. First of all, our job is to de-risk impact investments and to mobilize private capital for the benefit of all. And we have learned this morning, nature tells us every day that every euro we do not invest today will cost us twice as much in the future. And that's the reason why KfW's commitments, or majority of KfW's commitments, is going to energy transition. That's more or less 50 billion euro per annum, and Power-to-X is the next level. And we have started our engagement with Power-to-X here in Morocco 4 years ago with the Power-to-X reference project. And the potential is huge, not only in terms of renewable energy power, but also in terms of project execution. It's top notch. And here goes a compliment to Masen, to Iresen and OCP. And from this cooperation, and here we can draw 4 recommendations also to the work worldwide. First of all, the importance of local industrial integration. So foreign direct investment and technology transfer does only make sense or is only sustainable if a large portion is created locally. Yeah, so the national business case, as Anne-Sophie, is definitely very, very important. And now coming to the value chain, finance has to be availed throughout the whole value chain. And we do not stop only in production and offtake. This means upstream, midstream, and downstream, because, and that goes to your question, the value chains are very long. They are global, and they are operating in both directions, from our partner countries to the domestic markets in Europe. So we in KfW, when working on Power-to-X, we work in corridors. So the green hydrogen valley, Gelmine, and the whole story and plan of Morocco fits ideally to it. And thirdly, Power-to-X is very capital intensive. That's clear. So early movers need equity kickers. So we have added a large portion of crowdfunding to our operations as an essential element to bridge the bankability gap. And the fourth lessons we have drawn is that the unlocking the potential does not only require financing and funding, but a full tailor-made financing package which addresses the individual risks of structured project finance, because what we see in the market is definitely structured project finance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Florian, for this very great insights. So you talked about de-risking projects and how actually to structure those projects in order to make them bankable and viable. But that goes without saying that the underlying assumption is that there is associated risks, which naturally led me think about Mr. Nordin. This is a very nascent market, and we have saw that the early movers, as Florian said, did face a wall, did face some limitations in terms of the available capacity for electrolysis, and also how to develop these new, projects. So, what are the technology risks associated with this kind of projects?
Thank you, Younes. And I would like to thank the organizers for giving us this opportunity to actually talk about this important subject, which is how to unlock funding for green hydrogen projects. So definitely green hydrogen is a key enabler for decarbonization and energy transition. However, it entails various risks, be it technology risk and financial risk, that I will try to summarize here. So when it comes to technology, the first aspect that comes to mind is the technology viability. And here this can be seen from three different angles, which are efficiency, durability, and scalability. When it comes to efficiency, electrolyzers, mainly PEM and alkaline technologies, have efficiencies that range from 60 to 70% for alkaline and from 70 to 80% for PEM technology. So there is room for improvement, and here R&D has actually a big role to play in order to increase this efficiency. It goes without saying, of course, that better efficiencies for electrolyzer means less energy needed to produce the same quantity of hydrogen, which is directly linked to the profitability of the project. The other aspect is the durability. Electrolyzer technology use actually materials that are not very abundant. I'm talking about platinum, sometimes even gold, that are also very expensive, right? So it's very important to explore some or to find some alloys that can really enhance the electrode chemical behavior of around the electrode, and increase actually the efficiency and the long-term durability of the electrolyzers. The third aspect is the scalability. Right now we have the biggest project I think is around the 200 to 250 megawatts. So, but if we want to tap on the economies of scale, we need to go beyond the 1 gigawatt, right? So this scaling up comes with a risk, because we don't have track record, we don't have operation manuals, including the best practices to operate and maintain all these assets. In addition to the big need for renewables, land also that needs to be secured. So scaling up definitely comes with risk. The second risk when it comes to technology is the supply chain disruptions. Green hydrogen projects include different equipment that should be supplied from different parts of the world. So when, for instance, there is a disruption in the supply chain, there's actually this can be it for geopolitical aspects or just for shortage of material. This could lead to important time and cost overrun for the project. So this is a risk also that should be considered for proper design of green hydrogen projects. The fourth point is the energy resource variability, as the green hydrogen projects rely on renewable energy that are variable. So and mainly, not mainly, but the link to the weather conditions. So during bad weather conditions, we may have actually less producible, which means less revenue streams for the project. So this is also something that should be considered as a risk. The other aspect is storage and transportation of hydrogen. Currently, hydrogen is transported and stored in gas compressed, form, sometimes at 300 bars or sometimes 700 bars. It can also be stored in its liquid form, but this needs cryogenic processes that are very energy intensive. It can also be stored like in metal hydrides or chemical hydrides like ammonia. We talk also about adsorption. This is under development. The problem is that all these storage technologies present some risk related to safety. And not only that, the cost also of storage is very important. So it's very important that R&D and all industry work together in order to mitigate these risks. When it comes to financial risks, Younes, green hydrogen projects are high capital cost by nature. So securing these costs is a high risk and needs IFIs, governments, and investments, funds, and so on to really work together in order to ensure ensure financing of this project. But it's very important also to highlight here that when we talk about a high capex, it's not only facilities for producing hydrogen. It's also the infrastructure around ports, highways, pipelines, and so on. So it's very important to tackle this issue. The second financial risk is green hydrogen projects require long payback periods. So it depends on investors, actually. Some investors, they don't have any issue with the long payback time, but when it comes to market like green hydrogen market that is evolving, the nascent market, definitely long payback time is a risk because there's a risk to have shortage in liquidity and so on along, especially with the long span of the project. The third aspect is related to high capital cost. This directly linked to the risk as perceived by the investors. So here, risk mitigation mechanism by IFIs. Also, government should also play its role in providing loan guarantees. Everyone needs to play its role in order to de-risk this project and to lower the cost of capital. Of course, it goes without talking about regulation and the risk of change of regulation and policy, because many projects in their financial model, they rely on some subsidies, if there is, also some carbon tax and so on. So if there is a change in these aspects, this might be seen as very big project for for the viability of the project. So the role of the government here is important to ensure that the regulatory and policy framework is stable alongside the period of the project. The last one, but not least, is the environmental and social responsibility. As some green hydrogen project might be subject to environmental and social responsibility aspects, which may induce kind of liability to projects that come with costs. So definitely this might jeopardize the project viability. So I'll be brief. When it comes to how to mitigate these risks, it's very important. First of all, we need to conduct thorough feasibility studies, including, of course, when you say good feasibility studies, that means involving key industrial experts and very competent consultant firms that really can design, let's say, financial models that are reliable, that can predict the cash flow, that can net present value, all these aspects, including sensitivity analysis to really help address the change in the parameters. The second point is actually implement risk management strategies. This includes reserve margins, debt service reserve accounts, liquidity reserve accounts, and all this mechanism to really come up with a strategy to manage carefully the risk. The fourth point for mitigation is to look for long-term contracts. Of course, it's not easy to secure long-term contracts, but it's still something that all partners should work on to find ideally to have fixed price. But we know the nature of the market is very difficult to have a fixed price along the project. So maybe the price could be indexed with some other parameters. Finally, it's very important to engage with financial institutions, be it national or international, and investors in order to get financing with cheap financing or accessible financing.
Thank you, Mr. Nordin. So financial, technical, environmental, and social risks are aspects that lenders do take into consideration before deciding actually to finance those kind of projects. This brings me back, as Adrian was rightly pointing out, to 2010, and even before, when we were start looking at the CSP projects, and through the public-private partnership and the IFI communities, we did manage to finance those kind of projects, which at that day were revolutionary. Adrian, you did mention actually EIB's experience in financing green hydrogen projects. We'll be really keen to understand your takeaways from those concrete financing experience that you had.
Yeah, thank you very much, Younes. But maybe just to step back a little bit, and I think we agree to all do that. For those who don't know, the European Investment Bank is the EU's bank. And we're part of Team Europe, support, of course, the policies of the European Commission. So the EU's priorities are our priorities. And this is why also green hydrogen occupies such a high place on our agenda, as it does for the Commission. We also support the implementation of the Green Partnership here in Morocco. And obviously, as was mentioned this morning by the EU's ambassador, the Global Gateway strategy. So it's important to highlight that. We're also in the process of transforming ourselves into a climate bank. And we've taken really ambitious new targets to make that a reality. Hydrogen plays an important part in this transformation. But it's important to mention some of these ambitions. First, we have been Paris aligned since 2021. We have an objective of financing at least 50% of our projects yearly have to be dedicated to climate action and environmental sustainability. In fact, we've already reached that goal. So that shows the momentum that is going on within EIB. One of the third pillar of this strategy is for us to mobilize and to support financing from others, including, of course, the private sector. We have an objective of leveraging 1 trillion, at least 1 trillion euros by 2030. So it's important to have in mind. And for our activity in Morocco, we've been here since 1979. We financed so far around 10 billion, under 10 billion euros since the start of our activities here. You mentioned, of course, the energy sector, and that has been an extremely important pillar of our activity here. I'll close the commercial break by also mentioning something important, and this is directly related to green hydrogen development. So with the support of the German government, we've been able to establish a green hydrogen fund, which is meant to extend grants and technical assistance to some partners. Morocco is eligible to benefit from such assistance. So, this is a call to interested parties to reach out to us. We have initial funding. We're in the process of negotiating a large amount in the hundreds of million euros to be able to support this exercise. This goes to one point that I wanted to make. I'm not sure it has been mentioned, but obviously subsidies are going to be a key part of this effort. The actors that you have in front of you, their expertise, or part of the expertise, is to be able to blend. That is to reduce the cost of capital in the beginning, thanks to concessional financing, and that allows also to bring in the private sector. So this is something that we do, of course, but that all the other actors that you have in front of you do as well. But it is a key part of our activity. I'm coming to some examples of projects because you asked, and I think I want to mention two that can illustrate what it could look like in a country like Morocco. So I mentioned it. First of all, we need to move from pilot to large scale. I don't think we need to skip steps. This is really important. So we've done that in Spain, for example, with Iberdrola, where we financed the implementation and operation of a medium scale PV plant. So we're talking 100 megawatts, sorry. And that includes a battery storage system. It has a capacity of 20 megawatt hours, so installed capacity of 5 megawatt. And that is directly connected then to a large scale electrolyzer. And that is used to produce, obviously, green hydrogen. And this is supplied in the fertilizer industry that is situated nearby the PV plant. And this replaces hydrogen from natural gas, which, of course, from a climate perspective and mitigation perspective, has a lot of interest. So we're financing that on a pilot basis for the moment. We hope to be able to scale up. That's one example. And many of you may know also we financed the same, a demo project for the production of green steel in Sweden based on green hydrogen as well. So don't want to come into too much of the details there, but again, it is an example of a fully integrated pilot project that allows for the production of green steel with a much lower impact when it comes to mitigation. So perhaps if you allow me, I don't know how much time we will have, so I'm just gonna reach out and give you my main three takeaways for this session. First of all, we've said it, projects need to be assessed from the whole value chain angle, and that can go very far upstream. We've talked about water supply, but we think that if we look at integrated fashion, if we have, for plants, this offer advantages in terms of drinking water. These types of projects can also help with energy access. So when we're looking also at the social impact of our projects, this is really important. We've talked about sustainability considerations. I don't want to come again to the details of that, but this is really important. Projects to have positive net impact on energy access, I've said it, and decarbonization of the electricity supply. And then the third conclusion is that we need to develop via industrial clusters. Of course, we have some in Europe that we would like to feed with hydrogen produced here and in locations where it's really advantageous, but we need to look at developing these same industrial clusters right here and in other parts. This for us is a key part of what we do. I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Adrien. So offer basically is blended financing, technical assistance, and a really deep know-how in terms of financing these type of projects. And that gives me actually, that leads me the way actually. I'm just conscious about the time. We only have 10 minutes. So I would appreciate if we can actually stay within the time frame that is reserved for us. Florian, can you just shed a light a bit on KfW's experience in financing actually these types of projects? I know that there is a project under development in Morocco, so with Mazen. So we'll be really eager to hear actually your experience in terms of those projects.
I have already shed some light of the experience in my former intervention. Let me say one thing, it's remarkable. We don't have a commercial private bank here or an investor on the panel. That might have sense. Well, when working on the clusters and the corridors, as I said, it's necessary to have a holistic approach and to have the full financing package. And that's maybe a unique selling point of KfW Banking Group, because we have a very comprehensive offer across both domestic and international business lines covering private and public clients from technical assistance for early project development through venture capital, equity and capital investment grants and long-term loans. And we have a number of projects already in the portfolio on our domestic branch, for example, also green steel with Salzgitter in Germany. We have recently closed the NEOM deal in Saudi Arabia, where IPEX, our international project export finance subsidiary, is leading an ECA-backed loan facility with Hermes and ThyssenKrupp. And then on the development side, of course, DEG, our private sector arm, and KfW Bank, as already explained. And we have launched a similar fund also from the German government. It's a sister fund, so to say, end of last year, the PTX Development Fund. And we have a subsidiary, so the Power to X DNG Limited, and we are currently talking with EIB how we can share the services among EIB and the subsidiary also to implement the Green Hydrogen Fund of EIB and BMWK. And what we have done basically is we have consolidated all our products and the entire group offer in a one-stop shop. That's the Power to X platform, and on this Power to X platform, you can find the services of KfW Bank as an arranger, plus the grant funds of our government. And by working together in such a way, we aim to maximize the impact for all stakeholders. And to mobilize private capital. And it's exactly what we have to do. We have to work in such a common approach, like we did this also in the wind program and the solar program. But we also need here to involve private and commercial banks. That will make a difference, and not only to the panel, but to the whole structuring. And yeah, message to you: go for projects, go for fresh ideas. A meaningful project always will secure funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Florian. No, rightly so. Commercial banks actually do play an important role actually in scalability of those projects. And we have seen actually their experience in the renewable sectors, whereby the first projects were basically financed and developed by IFIs, but further projects, we have been shown a strong presence actually of commercial banks. And this is also important. Anne-Sophie, my question to you also will be about de-risking, and what is the tailored offer of IFD actually in terms of this, de-risking this kind of projects?
The IFD group offer is the 4 areas of support. The first one is, as it has been said, we need some grant for this kind of project. We can provide some grant for the framework. We discussed the importance of regulation for R&D, because it has been said this morning, these projects are quite complex projects. We can provide some grants for vocational training as well, because we will probably need thousands of engineers in the future to develop the targets. We can provide financing for development costs for private or public operators. We can do project finance. I think there is a long-standing commitment of IFD on this kind of financing in Morocco with our partner on PERG or Noor program. This is this kind of project we can finance. Maybe just the good news for the sponsor or industrial is that we will pay as IFD Group the same attention on the same aspects, which are water scarcity, ensure that this project also gives some room for access to energy for population, and still ensure the country to decarbonize the energy mix. But on this, I think we are pretty much aligned with, and I would say this is the key message, that we will do as we used to do, a co-finance program, co-finance project all together, and to be able to achieve a scalable program.
Oh, thank you, Anne-Sophie. You actually recall me of the first program actually that we signed at as EBRD, and the first program, the first phase of the program was financed by IFD and other multilateral development bank institutions. And we as EBRD actually, we financed the last bit of the program, which enabled the electrification of the energy sector to the 99.1%. And we're still there. We're working on the PERC 2.0 program now. So yeah, that's a very serious topic. Yeah, and I fully agree that the cooperation between all the IFIs, we have basically the same mandate, and we do play actually an important role for, you know, so the project can boost financing actually in the hydrogen value chain. Mr. Nordin, one important question actually, we talked about how from a lender's point of view, we look at the projects. But besides actually the financial gain and the trade commercial gain that Morocco will gain, there's also an important gain for Morocco in terms of its decarbonization, its energy mix. As we know, you know, green hydrogen projects are intimately linked to renewable energy projects. And therefore, sometimes green hydrogen projects can be used to have a more reliable, stable grid network. Will be interesting to hear your views on how that can be achieved by developing a value chain for green hydrogen projects.
Yes, yes. Actually, integrating green hydrogen projects with existing renewable energy sources can create a more comprehensive and reliable system by addressing the intermittent nature of renewables and enabling energy storage. For instance, when there is excess generated from renewable energy sources like wind and solar, this excess can be converted to hydrogen through electrolysis. This can help capture this excess for using it later on, be it in electricity or feedstock for in the industry. This is very important aspect of integration, because otherwise this excess should be actually curtailed, so lost, which means that green hydrogen projects allow existing renewable energy projects to be more profitable. This is the first aspect. The second one is what we call grid balancing. Green hydrogen can play a large-scale energy storage medium, where hydrogen or excess hydrogen can be converted back to electricity using fuel cells and hydrogen fuel turbines, which are nothing but natural gas turbines that are adapted to run on hydrogen. And this helps balance the grid and ensures continuous power supply, which are paramount for the reliability of the energy system. And the third one is actually the role that hydrogen can play in grid stability. Here, green hydrogen can enhance grid stability by providing grid support services, such as frequency regulation and voltage control. It's very important to note that fuel cells and hydrogen fuel turbines can respond rapidly to variations of the grid, making them very efficient tool for grid stability. The fourth point, I will be quick, is the role of hydrogen as let's say long-term storage, seasonal storage. Unlike batteries that can store energy for hours or some days, hydrogen can allow for long periods. Let's say using, for instance, excess renewable energy generated during summer to be used during winter. The last but not least actually is related to the fact that green hydrogen can play the bridge between renewable energy and the hard to abate sectors. So far, the approach is actually to electrify the users, but this comes with the cost, with other challenges. Now with the hydrogen, and if the hydrogen can be scaled up effectively and with a good economics, this actually can allow to decarbonize hard to abate sectors like transportation and industry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nordin. So we will need to sum up and wrap up our discussion, but the key message is that our banks are open. Please reach out. Please involve us as soon as possible in projects. There's a lot of consideration we need to take: financial risk, technical risk, environmental, social risks, and we'll be happy to look at those projects and future projects to develop green energy value chain in Morocco. So thank you, everyone.